morning and welcome to the Fort Bend Voter News. My name is Cameron Hill and I'm a part of the Fort Bend Election News Editorial Board. Judge Wallace, thanks you for coming on today.
My
Please
pleasure.
introduce yourself and why are you running?
Thank you. My name is Judge Toni Wallace, and I am the presiding judge in County Court at Law Number 4. I'm running for re-election for this four-year term because I'm not finished with what I started. And so when I was elected in 2018, I made an oath and a commitment to serve Fort Bend County, and I want to continue to do that.
That sounds good. At this time, just first question,
Mhm.
what are some of the biggest challenges that we continue to face in Fort Bend County justice system?
Well, so there's a few things that I would identify as some of the challenges in Fort Bend County. One of them being language and access to justice. It's one thing to open up the courtrooms. It's another to have public defenders that are available for those who can't afford an attorney, and even legal clinics that operate in our county and beyond. But if there's a language barrier, then it doesn't matter how much or how many resources you're giving that person. If they can't communicate to have their cases resolved, then that's a problem. And being one of the most diverse counties in the United States, we have all kinds of communities and communities that are represented, in this county. And so they need to have access to justice. What we currently have in place in Fort Bend County is a language access plan, where if you walk into County Court of Law Number 4 right now and you don't speak English, there is a sign very prominently placed where you can identify the language that you speak and you just point to it. And my bailiff knows, okay, they need some help in this particular language, and we will provide an interpreter and a translator free of cost, so that person can communicate on that day when they show up in court. And then after we get that court date taken care of, we will work behind the scenes to arrange and to make sure that they have an interpreter every time they come to court and someone that can work with them and their attorney on their case.
Sounds good. We know that there's injustice in the justice system.
Absolutely.
Right? How do you deal going forward with injustice being confronted in the courtroom?
It is not by coincidence that when you see the Lady Justice statue, she has that blindfold on, because justice is supposed to be blind. It is supposed to be issued out without regard to race, without regard to age, without regard to what kind of clothes you have on when you walk into my courtroom. And so I strive every day to provide that kind of justice that looks at the facts, analyzes them in conjunction with the law, and make a decision based on what I have in front of me in terms of the facts and the evidence. Not what somebody looks like, not what neighborhood they come from, not what their socioeconomic status is, but let's just look at what does the law say I can do in this particular set of circumstances. And that's what I do. I follow the law every single day. When you follow the law, when you administer justice in that way, it's blind and it's fair and it's impartial the way it's supposed to be. I feel very strongly, and I believe that judges have implicit biases within all of us. You can't get around that. But when a judge recognizes that implicit bias and works and trains themselves to not ignore it, but to understand when it comes up and understand, for lack of a better term, your weaknesses and where you may make an assumption about someone. And you learn to say, okay, here's how I would normally respond in this situation. Let me do better. And when you know better, you do better. So judges training on implicit bias and how that presents itself in a courtroom means that they can then start to work around it and start to make decisions that don't incorporate that bias.
That's true. During this time, I know you to be Black History, and we're in Black History Month.
Yes,
right?
it is. Yes.
Let's speak about that.
Excellent. I would love to. It is an honor to be a part of the Black history of Fort Bend County. I grew up in Fort Bend County, moved here when I was probably about the second or third grade, and so it's 30 years that I've lived in Fort Bend County. It is an honor to be amongst some of the history makers here. In that respect, in 2016, I was the first African-American female judge ever appointed to a bench, appointed by a unanimous vote from the Commissioner's Court to represent and to be the inaugural judge for County Court at Law Number 5. I served on that term for a year, and then they elected a new judge. And at that time, I decided, you know what, judges have a lot of impact in this community, and I wanted to continue to serve. And so I ran in 2018 and was among the 5 who were the first African American judges ever elected to a bench in Fort Bend County. We've been making history ever since. I was the first African American administrative judge for all of the county courts, and I served in that capacity for 2 years. I am the first African American female judge to preside over the girls' court in Fort Bend County. That's a court where we identify young girls, juveniles that are on probation, who have been either identified as trafficking victims or they are at risk because of their behaviors. We pull them out and we provide a specialized court for them. We provide a specialized program for them that includes counseling and other resources, wraparound services, if you will. And so I preside over that court proudly. That is my heart, the girls' court. So these are the kinds of history that we've been making and will continue to make in Fort Bend County if we continue to be elected.
Absolutely. As judge and beyond, looking at the law in itself, what type of changes going forward do we need to do for Fort Bend?
We in terms of the judiciary, or we in terms of the community?
The community in itself.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that question. Support us. Listen when we ask for help, and identify those areas where you may not be able to show up in court for me every day and be a mentor to some of my juveniles. That may not be in your wheelhouse. You may not be able to write me a check when I say I'm trying to raise funds for something. But find where you fit into that justice system and provide that service, provide that resource in whatever way you see fit. Sit down and talk to a judge and say, Judge, here's what I have to give. Here's what I can offer. Where can you use me? And the more conversations that we are able to have where we can utilize those resources in the community, the bigger impact we can have. When I have a juvenile that comes into my court and says, Judge, I think I want to be an architect one day, I can plug them in and say, you know what, I know an architect who will be willing to speak with you and let you shadow him for a day or her for a day. But I don't know that those people exist in the community unless you make yourself known to us. So in giving us those alternatives that we can issue to the people that come into our courtroom every single day, that will make all the difference in the world.
That sounds good. If you would, let our voters know why vote for you.
So many reasons why, Kim. I'll start with proven leadership, bold leadership, proven results. I have the experience. I practiced for over 14 years and did everything from civil to criminal. I was a prosecutor. I did criminal defense work. That's in my past life. Moving forward, since I've been a judge, we have worked hard every single day to reduce the caseload in our cases, to make our courts run more efficiently. I have opened up my courtroom to kids of all ages. Elementary school, middle school, high school students have been invited to come into the courtroom, because if you expose these kids to the roles and the jobs in the courthouse, then they've been enlightened, and they say, you know what, I may not be a judge or a lawyer, but I could be a clerk, or I could be a court reporter, or I could be a court coordinator. There's all kinds of roles in the courthouse, and if they don't know about them, then they can't learn. It also reduces and demystifies a courtroom, so that a child coming into a courtroom and they get a tour and they get to go in the back and see the judge's chambers, then the next time they come into the courtroom, they're not scared. They know how to approach. They know the formalities of the court and what they're supposed to wear and not wear. It's all an education system that we can work with. I do virtual classrooms because COVID, so I've done several virtual career days. So just being able to identify all these different ways that wearing the black robe and being on the bench every single day is only one part of what we do, and being able to extend into the community is the number one reason why people should re-elect Toni Wallace to County Court at Law number 4.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can I give my Facebook information and website before we go? All right, this is my closeout, I promise. JudgeToniWallace.com. JudgeToniWallace.com, that is my website. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. Please follow me, see what I've been doing over the past 3 or 4 years, please, and just let us know how we can continue to serve our community. JudgeToniWallace.com for County Court at Law number 4. Thank you so much.
Thank you.